Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the lab, and also welcome to a new episode of Road to World 2024, where I will be documenting my journey, my grind of myself competing in a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, and eventually, or hopefully, make to the World Championship of 2024. That being said, let's start today's new episode. So, YCS Indy has just concluded. I actually just got home from my flight today, and it's time for a deck profile because since a while, I finally topped another YCS. Actually, this was I haven't really topped anything major since last year Nats, and then kind of went through a lot of things mentally, physically. Had depression. Finally, got another top since the last one, and let's just say this is one of the few top in my whole career where I did not really, how I usually do, I did not really build anything special by myself. There obviously are innovations into it, but there's more just like puzzle pieces I grabbed from internet, from all the social media, from other people, their videos, their posts, their ideas, all among the internet, and then like recently, and then kind of piece them together, made my deck, made my whole strategy of it. So obviously, because of that, there are a lot of shout outs that I have to and I want to give out, very specifically this time. So let's just start. I guess we'll just start with the shout outs. Shout out to obviously my Team JNC, who did give me a lot of support. But this time, I have to shout out something specifically within JNC. Shout out to my teammate Jose Santiago, who also congrats topped YCS Indy with me. And Jose was also a Northeast U.S. region player who had very overlapping regional schedule for world grinding with me. So I've been seeing Jose nearly every other week. And we've been doing well at regionals, been talking to each other at regionals, been playing against each other at regionals. And eventually, we've been even filming each other's deck profile at regionals. So that gave me a very clear idea of his list. He's a Kashtira Snake Eye variant of Snake Eye deck, which he has been playing for several weeks to months at this point. And alongside Jose, there's another one who I guess combined with Jose, um, indirectly helped me for the engine portion of my deck, which is Raphael Reich. Raphael was one of the most recent winner of Legacy of Destruction format YCS, the winner of YCS Brazil during I think April. He his cash tier list. Well, I didn't talk to him at all prior to the event, but when I was really struggling, uh, like kind of rebuild everything after giving up Parallel Exceed that you may know me playing, and decide to join Kashtira. His winning list from Brazil was definitely like the ratio of his deck, engine to non-engine, definitely helped me a lot, and I kind of copied his engine portion of the deck quite a bit, and then modify with some of the other details that I learned from Jose. So those two pretty much shaped up and helped me building the engine portion of my deck, which obviously appreciate it. And then regarding the non-engine portion of the deck, I have shout out to Austin Cohen, which we know more as DB Grinder, and his one specific episode that the coaching session series he's been doing with Lucas Sacco. So I've watched DB Grinders, like this new coaching session series video, probably all of them, if not at least majority of it. And there's one specific episode with Lucas Sacco, where Lucas was talking about the Snake Eye, the non-engine strategy he's been using and he's been doing well with in the Snake Eye, which were giving up hand traps for board breakers after sighting. Because hand traps often kind of has a possibility just hand loop yourself, since they either kind of bounce on opponent's cards or they get countered by either talents or cross out. So in order to kind of avoid that, it's better to just having a lot of ball breakers going second instead of hand traps, because they will be more effective. The details is like kind of missing, but the general idea is here. We'll mention these things while I'm going through my deck pretty much later. But that's pretty much the idea, and I took the idea. I kind of almost say bet on the idea, just thinking I myself probably can come up with better things. So let me just believe this, because this makes sense to me. This feels strong for me. And bet hard on it, then build my non-engine portion of my deck and my side deck. So yeah, obviously shout out to those two, DB Grinder and Lucas Sacco. And while I'm going through my deck, we will be mentioning these names again, probably multiple times. So that will be that. And then also shout out to the two other friends in the Chinese Discord, Anthony and Diego, who helped very well for the Melodious matchup. And spoiler alert, I played a very mighty duelist at this event who was piloting Melodious. So I guess we'll get to him when it's time. So, that being said, finally, a long introduction. Let's get into the deck profile part. And then, as you may have heard me mention, I played Castillo Snake Eye and was top 8 at YCS Indy. So, there's the standard Snake Eye ratio. Not really need to be explained, because these are pretty much standard. Where's these? Not gonna lie, I'm missing Birch quite a bit. There are actually a couple times where, in weird hands, I just really like utilizing this Birch. There are hands, for example, be like Ash, Bonfire, and something that I'm confident to summon Ash, and it did not get hand trapped. To the point now, I'm ashing to Poplar, do the combo regularly, but this Bonfire suddenly just doesn't do anything, because getting another Poplar, getting a second Poplar doesn't even summon it. Getting a Birch here just kind of feels like the redundancy of my hand, and being it would be great, but it's, I do have moments I miss Birch, not gonna lie, and I'm thinking about adding it back, to be honest. But overall, not having Birch didn't cost me many game at all, so I guess it was okay with that. And then the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. The Snake Eye DBL store now is like almost a staple. The card is a lot better than I expected, and I've mentioned in some of my profiles, this card, despite it can be bricky, as long as this is not the reason that bricks my hand, this can be a solution to a lot of bricky weird hands. And going second this card is just another extra layer with the help of field spell. So overall, yeah, I like this card. And then with this card available in the deck now, Hope Harbinger is a line, which you will see me playing in the extra deck. And then just the Castillo monster, 1 Furnier, 1 Unicorn. I think that's all I needed. There's a second Furnier in my side. You will see it later. And in the main deck, I think this is just all I need. No more copies of Unicorn Furnier. I know there were people who were doing multiple of these. I'll say these are obviously good cards, strong cards, very almost broken cards, but these are not like engine ultimately. These can amplify the engine, make a lot of the engine pieces significantly better, like which unicorn is a Draco Sacco line before you even do thing, and which Ash unicorn is kind of unicorn can just serve the purpose even against negations, like as like an impart on Ash. So overall, these cards amplifies the engine quite a bit. But if I draw too much cash, they become very redundant. They don't do much by themselves. If I draw only cash without any Snake Eye engine, then it's almost a bricking hand. So overall, I think 1/1 is just the perfect ratio. It's what I needed. And this part is obviously borrowed from like Jose and Rafael. So this is like the only engine portion. It's not much. And then I guess the spell engine portion, which is also very simple and nothing special. So it's like Bonfire, Wanted, the original, Temple, and 1/1. And then the cash part of Planet, Birth, and Terraforming. So I did not play 1/1 for a long time, especially until Legacy of Destruction, because the standard combo used Temple to put Oak in the back, right? Like before Legacy, instead of now we have the option to put the Snake Eye Diablo in the back, and because of that kind of move, 1/1 is very useless in a build without Jet Synchron. There's no good level 1 to even summon off 1/1. And as a starter, this is like a bit costly. It's almost like people say it's the 4th Diablo or the 7th Diablo after counting Wanted. And not as good. As an extender, if I'm never able to take out Oak from my deck as an extender, it suddenly make this card a lot less powerful. But now with the help of Snake Eye Diablo, if I see 1/1 in my hand, I'm just 100% putting that into my spell trap zone. And now suddenly this is like a very reliable starter, because now 1/1 is actually an equal trade to get out Oak. So this was like one of the almost very last minute addition I added to my deck after realizing that, after playing with the Snake Eye Diablo for a couple tournaments. And then I played, I guess this is both an engine and non-engine. I played 2 copies of Prosperity. Remember, prior to Snake Eyes, doing like Agov time, doing Rescue A's, Unchained, those times, people were calling this card to be banned or limited, or at least being addressed. Prosperity is just that strong of a card that it fits a very specific criteria I was looking while building this. I was specifically looking for a card that if I need engine, that can turn into engine, but if I'm very full on my engine in my opening hand, that can still turn into a ideally non-engine or a form of disruption when needed. So I need something that can be both engine and non-engine at the same time, while not conflicting with the whole deck and not be a brick. Let's just say that's a very high requirement on some cards, and I definitely went through a lot of different things. I even tested like Small World. When I was doing Parallel Exceeds, I also really had some attempts on those. But at the end, none of them really feels as good. And I just went down to the old good Prosperity, that the card a lot of people have been really forgetting in the Snake Eye deck. I think after Link Rebo hits, now the whole Snake Eye deck is more vulnerable to interruptions, more vulnerable to especially negations. And because of that, so a lot of things weren't resolving as much as they had prior with Link Rebo. Resulted now, you kind of have to just brute force into a lot of hand traps, like ending boards. And sometimes it's just not enough. Like, Snake Eye is a deck that can go as explosive if you draw a copy of your engine. Like, if your hand is, like, Wanted, Bonfire, Planet, yeah, you're most likely playing through everything. But more often, you draw like a duplicate copy of a lot of like same category thing. You draw more than one cash starter. You draw a lot of different copies of Wanted and Diabels. You draw Snake Eye with Bonfire, and because without Birch, the Bonfire started to be a little bit more almost redundant if your opponent don't hand trap and stop the Popular Summon. At that point, like, you might still draw like a good number of engines, but because they are duplicate copies, they become not as useful and susceptible to interruptions. And this is where Prosperity kind of fixed that. You will never grab a shit card from Prosperity unless you are reviewed only shit cards, right? And that's pretty hard considering how the Snake Eye deck is being built. And because of running Prosperity, there's just like, in a lot of cases, I just see these as like more copies of some Ball Breakers cards, some side deck card copies that you will see in a minute. So I think maybe it's time to just reconsidering this card in the format again. Not necessarily even outside Snake Eye. People say Snake Eye is consistently enough without it. That's why people have not been playing it. But on the other end, it's like, you do be breaking half of the time if you're unlucky. You barely breaking, but you do have vulnerable games where you just one hand trap pass. And that happens sometimes more than it should. And what other thing? And some people may say this does have conflict with the side effect. First of all, you cannot draw. Excuse me. The draw part can be conflicting only if this is the card you draw off your Wanted. If you have Wanted available in the graveyard and piling hand, you can definitely give up this Wanted draw. Honestly, you're not even giving up, you're delaying it because these are still staying in the graveyard for your next turn for technically even better follow-up. So this draw is nearly never conflicting unless you want to draw into pot. Which at that point, you just treated yourself want to draw into another like used copy of something that you have already used this turn. Right? You want to draw into a second copy of Bonfire that you already used this turn, which is the same as drawing to Prosperity here. And then the going second half damage sometimes can conflicting. Sometimes you do need to perform the OTK after like breaking some boards because that's the only way. Which pot does conflict that. That's also why there's only 2 pots. I don't want to be overdoing on pots. This is like unlike before, not a card you blind 3 of because there are enough starters. This is just like almost a last resort kind of thing. Or in a situation you think it should be. And also, the extra deck is tight. So, it's not likely you can go for a Banish 6 blindly, just thinking it will be fine after that. I actually pop for 3 majority of the time, because the extra deck usually can't afford it, you just need a toolbox there. However, there are games I planned to actually pop for 6. If I'm getting offered by Tempai and my hand's just full engine, heck yeah, I'm banishing 6 cards, even my OTK pieces, to get a chance to even survive turn 2 for some non-engines that I want to dig for. So yeah, I am aware I have the ability to banish 6 if needed in the extreme settings. But usually, because the math of the deck, like, sometimes I just need to dig 1 witch out of the 6 copies in my deck. So pop for 3 is probably enough, right? And even hypothetically it missed, most likely will still give you some good cards that will be helpful out of the top 3. So I think this is why there's only two copies of pop, but 2 is probably more than enough. So yeah, this is like, I'll say, the engine portions of the deck. The Prosperity is literally almost the only innovation in the whole deck that was by purely myself. But I really liked it, and it been doing very well for me. And then just the non-engine portion. Okay, this is a very weird ratio of non-engines. I have to admit that you probably won't see from anywhere else. And you might even call me wild for playing ratio like this. So 10 hand traps, 2 nib, 2 ogre, 3 ash, 3 imperm, with 4 breakers, 2 talents, 2 droplet. And I guess the main thing is no Veiler. Not a single copy in my deck. So hear me out. I was technically not playing hand traps in some degrees. I was treating Ogre and Imperm as mainly ball breakers, as mentioned by Lucas Sacco. He will, according to him, he will actually side out a lot of the hand traps, like Ash, like Nib, like Veiler, like Mourner, and Bell, and whatever you be playing for side deck more breakers, like the take control kind of breaker cards. And Ogre and Imperm were good enough. They functions both as hand trap and breakers, so they get to stay in the main deck during siding. So I kind of took the idea. I'm running. I was just telling myself, yeah, post siding, I like these cards. I like these cards. These will just be side out. Well, these technically are just cards, or just hand traps I think I need to play. If I don't play Ash or Nib in my main, I definitely will keep them in the side for specific matchups in the game. So I was building my side. I realized my side deck was exploding. There were like 25 to 28 cards, including some of these, right? And also, as I was looking at my entire side, it was like, which cards were the best, were still needed in the format that it will be good to main, which is down to Nib and Ash. The reason for these two, Nib is just good enough. It's just way too good going first in the Snake Eye Mirror, or it just Snake Eye against anything. Funny enough to say, I think going first is the weaker part of Snake Eye decks in general now, because the ending board after I'm playing breakers, they were not that hard to crack. Snake Eyes is more known as its very crazy longevity, very broken follow-up from just Flamebird in opponent's turn. But there really isn't that much interruption at all from just the engine. Just the engine, you will be looking at what? Appaloosa, Princess, IPSP. That's usually about it, right? And maybe like another one random thing, either in the form of yearly or Hope Harbinger or other thing. And then the rest of these missing interrupt, you have to fill them with non-engines like the hand traps, like the back rolls. But overall, if we just looking at the engines, the deck it's not that suppressive. Like it's not threatening that much if it's a Snake Eye Mirror. Obviously, if it's a Snake Eye against other deck, yeah, this is good enough. But in a Snake Eye Mirror, the deck, I think, functions better going second now. At least after I build it my way, I definitely feel safer going second than myself choosing to go first. And Nib was a hand trap that made me at least feel safer while going first, because comboing with Nib left in hand is almost like comboing with Maxi left in hand. You're not dying. You know they have to commit 5 summons to even have a chance to crack the board, and then you can just nib them into nothing after they out you into nothing, right? So that's why Nib was. I wasn't relying much more on Nib. That's why there's only 2, and Nib being. And for that reason, I thought I wanted to keep at least some copies of Nib available in my whole deck, so I have them available to use while I'm going first. But my side, I couldn't fit them, so I moved them into the main. Similar concept as Ash. Ash is more for a outside mirror match, outside Snake Eye matchup. You just need Ash for following things: Brenda Fusion, Big Welcome, Ostinato. Yeah, that's a broken one. And technically, maybe not even Ostinato now, like after, I'll mention a bit later. But specifically, Brenda Fusion, Big Welcome, and Sengen Kaiman from Tenpai. You just need Ash for those kind of cards. And those kind of cards cannot be answered by any other replacements. You might hear me sound crazy, but I think even Ostinato can be replaced. Like your answer to Ostinato doesn't necessarily has to be Ash. It can be a form of Talon or Droplet, because that's what Ostinato can do. Whatever they're doing with Ostinato is actually more susceptible to Talon and Droplet. Ash might not even be the best thing to do against as an answer to Ostinato, because first of all, Ostinato isn't once per turn. Second of all, the Melodious deck do run Orange Light, which counters Ash, and then they can add it back later. So you kind of just hand loop yourself with one Ash. And even it's like a hybrid Snake Eye Melodious, they still have the Snake Eye cards, right? Obviously, and now you're sending the Fire Engraver for their Heater line. So Ash might not even be the best answer to Ostinato, which credit to Anthony and Diego after I tested that matchup. Just Melodious Pure or Melodious Hybrid. That's why, so realistically, I'm playing Ash specifically for Sengen Kaiman. Because there's nothing you can do against Tenpai if they draw broken. Besides, I think ashing the Kaiman in the battle phase give me the highest win rate increase out of all the possible non-engine I can play realistically in the main deck. However, I didn't play any Tenpai the entire weekend. If I knew this, I mean, I have no way, but if I hypothetically knew this, I probably will either reduce some copies of Ash. I don't think I'll be ball enough to complete cut it. But I will definitely considering reducing the number of Ash for some Veilers. Right? Well, I keep mentioning Veilers. Veilers, after these considerations for hand traps, became a hand trap that just, it's obviously good. It's very good. It's too good to the point nearly everyone's playing it max 3 copies in their deck. But it's never a needed hand trap in any given situation. It's like, oh, they normal summon Ash. Obviously, it's good if you have a Veiler to just Veiler that, right? Even if they can combo after that, it's still good to do it. But was it needed, though? Compared to another replacement, you can run like Talons, like Droplets going second, or even Ogre on the SP going second, or Ogre on the Appaloosa going second. Veiler is like good option, but not necessary. The best. Or maybe not necessary at all. And other cases like outside Snake Eye matchup, Veiler is actually almost becoming bad. Against Tenpai, yeah, you're not really Veiler anything, realistically. Against Melodious, yeah, if their hand's good, you are not realistically Veilering anything. Whatever you Veiler might just bounce off, pretty much. And that resulted me realizing Veiler or Mourner. I mean, Mourner is just more copies of Veiler. Veiler is not as necessary to run in the deck. Which the 3 Veiler that used to be in my deck were cut for, I think, 2 pots and 1 for 1. That was the very last minute change prior to the weekend. Before my pots were actually in the side deck, which is a crazy concept if you think about it, but it was for the 2 regionals that played prior to Indy. But yeah, that was the Veiler. Didn't make the final cut to the event. And I will say, I didn't regret doing that change, but I think the better option was actually just still keep some number of Veilers. Like, I'm playing 42 right now, which I think the better option wasn't cutting Veiler for pots and 1 for 1, was adding the 1 for 1 and pots and then maybe add 2 more Veilers, make it 44. And now I get to keep that. Because I had a situation, I had realized something after playing at Indy, was that because I have such a low amount of hand trap, and even I do, like Ogre, if I do draw Ogre or Imperm, I even have considerations to just hold them in my turn. To the point a lot of people know or realize I'm playing Breakers. And I had a bit of the Tenpai dilemma while I'm siding. I don't know if I will be guaranteed going first or second, even when my opponent choosing. They might think I'm on full Breaker and let me go first, which one of my opponent did that. It was Patrick Coban, so he's good enough to make the call and did that, which actually cost me that match, I'll say. But a lot of other people, like relatively average duelists at the event, they were not like, they either were not equipped with the tool to let me go first, or they were not brave enough to make the call, which is normal, makes sense, that they would still choose to go first for themselves, right? But for when we're talking about YCS, especially, I was getting very close to, like, not even to even have a chance of winning a YCS against people who are capable of doing those. I can see myself in the 10-buy situation where I will have no idea if I run this low amount of hand trap and pretty much ball breaking game 1, and what's going to happen game 2 and 3, right? So I think with some additional more hand traps, now I have the option, because hand trap is always good going both first and second. And I would not mind it to have a little bit extra to compensate that. And then, like, the deck count 42 to 44 isn't that big a problem, because I'm also already running pots, which a lot of people don't. So my breaking chance should be a lot less. Technically, throughout the entire event, I break only maybe once or twice at most. Throughout, like, the 14, 15 rounds I played. So yeah, the pots definitely were helping consistency, and I think I could take a little bit more risk of increasing the deck count. And then last but not least were the actual breaker, like Talon and Droplet. There's only 2 of each. Why? Because naturally I still want to choose to go first if I given the option to choose from dice. So overdrawing these hurts a lot. Like, it really hurts. Despite I can full combo. I might in a situation where I did full combo, but I have dead cards like these, so my board just get cracked going, like, for my opponent going second. So I think like 2-2 is actually a better ratio for my taste. You can really think there's like 6 copy of it, because the 2 pods can just turn into these, so there's a total of 6. Like, pods just 2 more copies of everything. But going second, these cards are kind of great. And yeah, a lot of you might out there, knowing me as one of the biggest hater of triple tech talents, I have to admit something now. For the past years, since this card is a thing, I always feel like myself just isn't good enough to utilize the best option from triple tech whenever I'm given to play it. Because like, it technically has even more than 3 of it, right? If you treat it like every single your opponent's monster is a different option to take, suddenly this card has like 5-6 options usually, between the draw, the hand rip, and every single monster you can take. It's hard to make the call correct with this every single time you use it. It's almost like a card where you have maybe a 20% hit a jackpot, and 80% of the time you hit nothing. And I hate those kind of cards. I'd rather play something that give you like a 70% of consistent result, instead of just this kind of thing where it only has a 20%, but they give you the jackpot. So I see myself most of the time not good enough to use the card. Until I will say, at least now, right? Every format is different, but at least in the current moment, I think I'm good enough in the format that I'm confident with talents now. At least for now. And because of that, I think I'm confident to make 60%, 70%, even 80% of the chance hitting the jackpot. No problem. In the current format. In the settings I'm playing this card. So, destroying a lot of people going second. And if you look at like the amount of breakers in the deck, there's actually quite a few amount. Like, I guess the pots can be one. The cash cards is for specifically funnier, or also breaker cards. So I guess these are not really breakers, but like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13. There are almost like 13 copies of breakers. If I draw a combination of any two, I'm confident winning going second. That's how crazy for the Snake Eye matchup really has evolved to. I mean, obviously with at least a copy of Engine, but that's what this rest part is about. And that also like leading to why there's only 2 Ogre, despite I said these kind of things. Ogre is performing very well as a breaker going second, but Ogre has been performing kind of bad at going first. Like you draw an Ogre left hand. Well, Ogre is a card where it's like, it doesn't stop your opponent doing things. So you holding the Ogre going first, you're not really even using this as a hand trap and not able to prevent your opponent doing much. And to the point, even I draw this going second, I usually hold it until my turn because there's not realistically anything to Ogre in my Snake Eye opponents going first turn. You Ogreing whatever they lighting up in your turn, like IP, like Appaloosa. So if I draw too many Ogres, it kind of just become a little bit dead or useless because it's only available in your turn. Unlike Imperm is always available for any time you want. So that's why there's 3 Imperm but only 2 Ogre, and 2 is enough. It does hit some weird other things like Sanguine Summoning from the Tempai Field spell, or the Scales from Melodious. So it's okay to, it's like it would almost never be a deck card in any given matchup at the current moment. But I don't want to overdo on this, so that's why there's only 2 Ogres at the end. So this is pretty much like the overall main deck, a lot of the ratios, as you may have already seen me explain quite long, and some of the specific ratios I played, which I'm feeling very confident or very satisfied with what I ended with. And then I guess the less interesting part, the extra deck, is very, very standard. I guess we'll do it this way. Anima, SP, IP, Hida Dark, Princess, Selene, Apple, Axis, Raging, Zelantis, Nightmare, Yearly, Draco, Saga, Hope Harbinger. Yearly is like literally the only flex spot in the entire extra deck. Every other 14 were just guaranteed. And regarding pot, you see there are 2 Xyz. You draw your opening, you already know if these 2 Xyz gonna come up in this turn or not. So these can always be easily pot target when needed. And that's already 2 of them. And then another combination is like Anima and Dark are usually a pair. Because without Anima, you pretty much have no Dark monster reliably to summon Dark. And in some matchup, you just know your opponent not have a Dark or won't even have a Dark monster in their graveyard. So these 2 can sometimes just go together. And then other things like, there are a lot of way to OTK people, and also after pause, like you probably can really guarantee out like 1600 damage. So some of the time, like Axis Code can't even go out because this is just more reliable, like the turn after. And then going first, like Phoenix can go. Going second, Eerie can go. Some of these are like interchangeable as a pot target. And obviously going second, Appaloosa most likely can go as well as an option. Because you not really realistically clear everything and then Appaloosa. But probably won't have. If you have that many resources, you're probably already able to win without doing power or other things. So yeah, this can also go in second. Now you see there's a lot of possible targets I can banish off pot in given situation. They're just usually never fixed member of pot target. Everything are useful in some situation. That's why we play them. But not everything is needed at the same time. That's why you have to be very good at what to pot away. I usually only pot 3, at least throughout the whole weekend, and I had never of any pot banish backfired me. Ever. Because pot 3 is like a very easy option. You know at least 3 of these will not come up through the entire rest of the game. So yeah, this is the extra deck. Like, it's at this point being very optimized. So there isn't much more for me to talk about. There are obviously other cool things like another copy of SP Little Knight, Lizardos, Typhon. I ended up just liking Eerie a bit more. this is like, and like negation is one of the strongest interaction or ending board interruption form existing in a card pool, and then this provided negation along with Appaloosa is needed. Also, this has the random turn zero effect, which kind of serves similar as Linkreble in the purpose of protecting Appaloosa, which not many other cards can do that. So at the end, I prefer purely no, yearly the most. And then the side deck, this is where all the gas at. Agave for Time, which happened multiple times at the event. So yeah, another copy of Furnier. Shout out to what I learned from Jose. It just there are games where I do want to lower the amount of back hash card like Unicorn Burst. So going second, I side out those, and then. But to compensate the Furnier, I add another copy of Furnier, just like what a lot of people have been doing. And then, Lucas Sacco idea. The Change Your Heart, the Bind controls the card taking, and then Metatronus as another form of these. These already 7 breaker, well, along with the Furnier, and then the Drop the Title you see, with some copy of Lightning Storms. This is honestly more as like a backward removal, like Scourging. You know, everyone's gonna be on Scourging, so everyone will have some sort of backward. So Lightning Storm will never be bad. Worst case, you clear the IP, the field spell, or you force out a negate from your opponent's board. So this is always good, along with these. And then these are just really. I have so many cards going second. I was confident to choose to go second in a mirror match. Because the sheer amount of these kind of cards. And I will say this was very effective. A lot of my opponent caught off guard and were just scrambling game 3 because they thought they were going second with all their breakers and hand traps, and they were offered to go first, and now suddenly they realized all their cards are a lot less efficient to even be played. And there are obviously times I would like to choose to go first. That's where all the floodgates plays in. Or the only floodgates really left. But these are the broken floodgates, though. I mean, abuse it while we can, right? So this is the side deck. The one issue I did not notice was because some people may notice me doing this. I had a little bit temp buy situation that when my opponent choosing. Especially if it's in a game where I lost game 1, the game 2, I kind of try to surprise them. I let them go first. Now game 3, I'm completely have no idea what will happen. So I had a little bit temp buy dilemma, which I was adjusting myself into it throughout the event. That's also why I really like Metatronus now as a card, because this, unlike other breakers, this is actually a very strong interruption. As a quick play spell, is almost a trap at this point, to be played even going first as a trap. And then none of the other cards able to do. Even Furnier isn't strong enough going first, but Metatronus is broken even going first. So there are games I wasn't even sure, or I bet on my opponent will even let me go first. I will just side my going first card and all the Metatronus and leave these away just to to kind of gamble with my opponent. So let's just say it worked out very well at the end, and I only get offered to go first once against Patrick Colvin, which is obviously a known best player in the community. So he's good enough to make the call, which he did. Get a charger really quick. And that is the main deck, as you have seen. 42 cards. I'm probably going to add some Veilers to just go above 42, make it like around 44. And overall, this has performed very well. So let me talk a little bit more about like the actual tournament of really what happened. Day 1, let me see. I played 7 rounds technically because I had 2 round bye. I ended X2. Wasn't as good, to be completely honest. My losses were first one against Holben because he let me go first. Game 2, after I lost dice roll game 1, but cracked his whole board with Droplet Talent that made him make the gamble, let me go first, and cost me that game 2, because I opened a double lightning storm mind control. But I was able to combo with the Ashen Imperm I had left, but it just wasn't enough to survive. And I lost that game 2, and then I decided to just go for time game 3 because that's the more guaranteed win con for game 3. But my hand were just not good enough against his two hand traps, and I eventually fell to burn in time, and let Hoban had some chance to do chip damage when times was close, so that I lost that round. It was, I feel like it can be prevented in some different ways, small details, but that was my first loss. My second loss was against Elise. This one was more just me bricking. That's like honestly the only bricked game or match throughout the entire weekend. I had what did I have? I opened the 4 level 8 monsters throughout 2 games. Game 1 was double Flamebird going second, and game 2 was Flamebird plus Big Poplar. And the only starter was a 1-for-1, wasn't good enough against one hand trap. So that was honestly a bricked game, which that was the expected loss throughout an event, which was expected. That was the one not possible to be prevented. So I took that one pretty well. So that ended me X2 at the end of day 1. My tiebreaker was really high because, funny enough, I played nearly only VIP people in the whole VIP section. The VIP people like me had special seatings in VIP, but I didn't know my seating until round 5. I queuing to nearly every, like all my opponent were just VIPs into Hoban into more VIPs and more VIPs. I had to go to 6 different tables just within the VIP corner, and it was crazy. But on the other hand, that means all my opponent had decent or if not good tiebreakers because they also had buys. That result being very high in us an X2 after Swiss Day 1. We had about 1,800 plays, which is the hardest setting of possible tournament because we expected only half of the X2 making it. Seeing myself as one of the high X2 really made me happy. And if you look closely, I am at the very bottom page of day 1, 48th. But that's like the 6th or 7th highest X2 because X2 started at 42nd with Jesse. And there were a lot of X2s. There were about, I would say, 100. The X2s went to the end of page 3. That's how many it was. And it was iffy. Like, I remember Jesse was saying at Raleigh, he was X2 about like 75th place going into day 2. And he won out but did not make to the top 32 cut. And that was crazy to even think about it. I mean, this Konami system does have some small loophole here and there. It's not perfect, but it's like there's things like this can happen. It just, it's fortunate that the game is growing, that the average number now for YCS attendees for North America but unfortunately lands around the 16 to 1,800 people, which is the hardest settings. Maybe in a few more years when the game grows even bigger, now the average can go up to like 2K, 2100. Suddenly now we have top 64 of everything. That would just make everything a lot easier. So it just, these 2 years might be, the game has grown to a very weird point that all the tournaments in North America are hell difficulty. So that was day 1. Also to say, I lost majority of my dice rolls throughout the entire event. My dice roll was probably only 30% win, but I was able to be lucky enough cracking all these boards going second game 1, because all I need to do is just a combination of like an ogre and a Fernier, done the job with combo. Imperm, Droplet Talon, as you heard, against Hoban. And then, like, Talon Fernier. And so, game 1, despite I was losing the ice rule, I was going second. My game 1 winning ratio was actually pretty decent. And then game 2 or 3, it just like, either I putting all the ball breakers going second game 2, and just straight 2-0 my opponent winning 2 going second games, or the game 2 goes a little bit back and forth, I eventually losing. Then game 3, I surprised my opponent I offered them to go first. And usually that strategy was so winning, I feel very confident to almost even win the event. So that was like day 1. And I guess I skipped myself a little bit. Then there's day 2. Day 2 was also funny. Because round 1, I played one of my homeboys from my area, and we had a very chill match. I did have misplays that could cost me the game, but my opponent had even a bigger misplay. So eventually, like, my misplay wasn't punished and won me the game that I was supposed to be losing. And then the second round, this is the good one. I played my revenge match. Why? Because I queuing to no one else. Jesse Kotton. I just have to play against Jesse either the first round of the tournament or the last round of the last round of the tournament. Like every other time. Oh god. At least this one feels great. Because what happened? So Jesse just got his ring, the UDS ring that he won from February, like this event, because it was under production. He just got it. So we sit down. Final round shows up electronic pairings. So Jesse Kotton. Okay, cool. Gotta do this again. We sit down. The first few things after conversation, Jesse was like, "You know what? I think I need to do this." He took out a box, took out a ring, put it on his finger, started wearing it. Yeah, I made Jesse consider he had to equip his final weapon against me. Yeah, but after a couple of shuffles, that thing is way too uncomfortable to be wearing at the entire game. So he just took it off. Yeah, then we played the match. Game 1, his hand was bad. No, game 1 I went first. This is one of the few dice where I won. I got stopped by Imperm on my Ash. I had a Unicorn. I got swapped by Imperm. Then when Link into Princess, got Mournered. I believe that's what happened. So I pot Dig for 3. Didn't hit any engine. But I grabbed an Ash. I know he's on Melodious. He had a random feature earlier of the weekend. So I grabbed an Ash off my pot. My ending was just a Princess on the front as a follow-up. Birth at the back as a follow-up. And then Ash off the pot. A Hidden Ogre and a Set Droplet pass. It was good enough technically against his hand, unless he had multiple copy of Osinato, right? His hand was also just kind of bad. He had to normal refrain. I immediately droplet it by sending my fail spell. He went to a Typhon, beat over my Princess, and passed her. Maybe it was back row. What was one back row? I assume it's Imperm, which was Imperm. My turn, I drew an original, so another combo piece, another quote-unquote starter extender. I get my Unicorn back, thought about it, send the burst, summon another Ash, got Impermed, which is expected. Decide to make a Hida, make a very backup plan, because I still have Ash Ogre in hand. I can technically normal summon it to do things, but I decided to just save both hand trap, made a Hida, crashed the Hida, summon Poplar get my field spell, set up enough follow-up that he kind of able to overwhelm him. Past turn was a non-Ash and a hidden Ogre in hand. His turn, Melodious is a weird deck, because a lot of things require you have either no monster on the field or only Melodious monster on the field. So he had to Typhon bounce himself to even start doing things. Like, I think it was the couplet in the skill to search fusion spell, which I go so good at. And that one hurt, because it was the play right after he had to Typhon himself. So that hurt him very badly. And I think he had a talent draw, which I just let it go. Hindsight, I probably should just Ash it. If he has Ostinato in hand or a first move solo, he would just Talon ripped the last card in my hand, which is the Don't Ash, and then Ostinato for combo, right? But he didn't. So that means his last card in hand was just not strong. Probably another like brick engine piece or something, and then most likely a Melodious monster because he scaled a couplet trying to search. I let him drew, but he didn't draw anything. He just scooped. That was game 1. And then game 2, what happened? Oh, game 2, I'm in second. He just started. I look at my hand. I know I have a very high chance getting this. My hand was so broken. It was Droplet Talon, Bonfire, Wanted, Double Pot. I just let Jesse full combo was Ostinato. Wait, was it Ostinato? I forgot. He had decent, but he set up everything, and he even desired after the combo was two more back rows. I just look at my hand, was like, I can win this. I did like pretty much start playing, no more Bonfire get Ash, no more Ash. He just ignored that. Then into Pop get field, get more cards so I can send off Pot. Decide to like link into Phoenix, force out a back row. I think I hit a dead first move solo that he drew off Pot, I think. And then start doing things, start finally touching anything in the graveyard. He decided to activate Sherbert was the name, the one that banished my graveyard. I chained my drop list, send like total 3 cards from my field, negating the buff, which is what area, and then the big guy that bounce and Sherbert that banished from the graveyard, and then decide to Talon, look at his hand. He cross out, which is the last backward cross out the Talon, which is fine. Now all I need to do is just play and maybe perform OTK through potential hand traps. He didn't use any of them. That made me think he didn't have any. Melodious is also a deck because of this no monster or only Melodious monster restriction. Not likely to play Nibiru as a deck. The preferred hand trap is Orange Light, which should be already used. And I actually, you heard me having Pop, but I was treating Pop as like a very last resort. And I discarded one of Phoenix and cost the other one to Droplet because I realized I didn't need those. Because he seemed like only having engine, and I eventually just Flamber pushed the big guy that flows, the banished one, into the spell trap zone, make access, pop everything else, battlefield the top game. He told me his desires at the end of the combo drew him, I think, first move solo plus Ostinato. Neither cards was alive. So yeah, that was scary, but wasn't as scary a matchup. I got my revenge on Jesse Kotton for the final round of the tournament. So I was very happy after that. Winning 2 more, day 2 at the beginning, qualifying myself at X2, moving into Top Cut. But however, both my losses, Hoban and Elise, ended at X3. I think, very unfortunate for Hoban. He started as A1 to A3. He lost both rounds in day 2. So that resulted in my tiebreaker ended not as high as I expected. I ended on 29th after Swiss, which is dangerously close to not making the cut. And but I'm happy enough about just qualifying. War points is the primary goal for this event. And Top Cut, we sit down. I play against Blake Morrison. I think we had a conversation. He was 6th place at Nats last year. I thought he went to Worlds, but no, he didn't. It was he got eradicated by Jeremy Mitchell in top 8. And then we sit down, we got deck checked. I unfortunately received a game loss penalty because both some damaged cards and then some sleeves also have factory errors. So I was told to replace both, and because there's like multiple things going wrong, I received a game loss. Which, okay, that usually says, you ended here in Top Cut. Like, it's not likely you winning out was a game loss in Top Cut against all the other good players, right? We sit down, we start playing. Game one, we started game two technically. Yeah, game two, I went first. I got a game loss penalty. Game one, so we start. My hand was just good enough. I had full combo. So I won from there. This is one of the hand this is one of the few hand where I had enough to combo enough with another 2 or 3 hand trap. I think I had like Ash Ogre Imperm or something. After a wanna draw. So I won that game one. And game two, so I was told before the round that because Blake Morrison had a feature match, a stream feature, I was told by someone else that Blake is someone might let me go first because he also have a breaker. I mean, I did that before prior in the tournament. Not surprised someone else choosing the same strategy with me, right? So I was prepared. So I made a bet. I feel like he's gonna let me go first because think about it. If you are in his situation, your opponent got a game loss for game off of that deck check errors, and then you won game two. And he won game two because he went first, expected. And then now game three, this is the best chance to surprise him, and he will have no preparation for it, right? If I'm in his situation, I will do that. So I bet on him, well, let me go first. I sided in Scoldron's Anti-Spell and Metatronus, expected to go first. No mind control, no change of heart. Yeah, he had his choosing to go first for himself. And I was looking like a very big bozo sitting there. I was like, you know what? I mean, I got an excuse. I got a game loss from deck check, right? This is not the biggest... This is not... It will be fine. It's not the reason why I'm losing this match. It's the reason of the deck check. So I was like, I had an excuse for myself. But my hand was just, I drew my opening hand. I didn't see any of the going first card. It was just a regular like hand traps and engines. I think I had a nib. And his hand was just not strong enough. He got nibbed. He ended up just Flamber with IP pass. And my turn, I drew... What did I draw? I drew something. Might be Talon, might be Droplet, but it was good enough that it was the cards that I kept both first and second just in case, right? And I think I drew one of those, and then I apparently had a lot of engine. I just brute forced it without. Despite I sided for. I mean, it's not like a complete going first siding. It's more a hybrid. For just in case my opponent going first, but it's more heavily toward going first because there are skill drains, there is anti-spell, but I definitely kept a lot of my hand traps with Droplet Talon for sure, and Metatronus, but I just wasn't backfired by this gamble despite I didn't hit. I just didn't see any of the going first card, and I eventually just brute forced the board with Nibiru and then the entire engine. So yeah, I after receiving a game loss, I backdoored my opponent 2-0 and moved on to top 16. I thought my journey ended there. Turned out it didn't. So top 16, I played against. I played against Sebastian. I played against Deli. It was on the feature. This one was also funny because we were supposed to be the backup feature at the beginning, but the actual feature seems like taking too long to get set up. So they just moved us who were prepared already to the main feature. And we sit down, feature match, not the first time, I'm used to it. I won dice roll. It's a very few times I won dice roll throughout the event, I'll say. My hand was just good enough, I full comboed. I had a lot of witches, or different copies of witches. I go wanted, search a second copy of witch pitch the big popular summon, use effect, Sebastian impermanent, which because this wanted in the graveyard, he didn't want to have me a draw. But funny to say, I already drew this original. I think my opening was like wanted, original, Snake at Diabell, regular Diabell, and popular. Believe that was the 5. So I was not that satisfied as the hand, but it ended working very well because this wanted, my opponent impermed the witch, But I already had the original, so I just full comboed after that. And I think my Wanted drew me another imperm. So my ending was just crazily big. I was like Apple, Yearly, Flamberg, IP, Princess in the Graveyard, and I had a set imperm. He just immediately scooped, obviously. And then that was game 1. Game 2, he bricked. He goes 7 pass. I look at my hand. Oh, well, Lightning Storm. Which Ash 4 summons battle phase. Well, that'll do it. So it was a very anticlimactic feature match. Arguably one of the most boring feature match throughout the entire weekend. Because it was just a one-sided me playing by myself feature match. My opponent nearly was not existed there. So that was top 16. Top 8 IQ into Chris LeBlanc. Ah, man. Game 1, I won. Wait, did I? Yeah, game 1 I won after going second. I forgot the details, but I won after cracking his board. Game 2, Chris gave me triple Wanted. Hindsight, if any of those Wanted is like a face-up card or even a monster to summon, I will be winning the game. Because how that game lost was I had a Metatronus to break his board with an Ogre. So I Ogre the Appaloosa and Metatronus the IP. But he had Ash for unfortunately, he had Ash for Metatronus. So the IP resolved and killed my last face-up card possible, which is the Witch. And at that point, yeah, I did not have any face-up card to combo after what was the origin. I think there's like another thing get traded by whatever hand trap or whatever thing. So if hypothetically I have anything, any monster, any like normal summon, I will be able to flip origin, and then that will be the end of game. He did not have any more things. We traded perfectly. He just had 1 extra than me. So that was game 2. So game 3, I made a gamble. I sided in going second. I choose to go second. I let him go first. He definitely shocked, surprised, even scrambled a little bit. Went for the whole Harbinger line because he know I have a lot of powerful spell. Makes sense. But he forgot he was supposed to go second. He did not have a second Flamber. His ending was very weak. It was the Lentus, a random Poplar that was supposed to be normally a second copy of Flamber with Hope Harbinger, and then with Field Spell IP. I started turn was like Lightning Storm. My hand was just good enough. He did have 3 more hand trap. I had to walk into Ash, had to walk into Mourner, I had to walk into the whole part. Like I couldn't talent look at his hand or take his monster because I had to use talent to force out the Hope Harbinger, and then I had to play into Princess, everything. I was able to control the whole board, pretty much cracked everything, left the Princess there as the last thing, moving into battle phase. Thinking, yeah, I'm gonna play her on Nib, right? Obviously, leave the Princess there. However, on my OTK, Chris's last card in hand was a random Joyce Womb that made him survive and prevent the OTK. Hindsight, I could even play around it. After the match, I realized if I just keep comboing even more, making like Princess and Raging and Zelantis after the access code, I can OTK him through a Joyce Womb. But, well, I didn't think he would have Joyce Womb and side it in, and then, well, and drew it. So, eventually, yeah, my OTK got stopped by this Joyce Womb, and I had to pass turn after clearing everything. And Chris, as you may know, the fortunate human in this game, top decker Wanted, along with the original in the graveyard. So he had enough things out of nowhere just crack back my board and didn't kill me, but did enough, and time is called. That's what happened in top 8. I was honestly already had a game, or could have the game, but didn't think to play around Joyce Womb in the Snake Eye Mirror match. So unfortunately ended the journey at top 8. Well, but not gonna lie, I'm very satisfied with this event. This is one of the hardest event to top at all. With 1,800 people, with half of the X2 not making it. We actually did count for like how many X2 total. There were like about 37, 38 of them, and only 18 or 19 of them make to top cut. Half of the X2 not making it out of 11 rounds is very crazy. So it's very hard to top this one, and I did it. I'm happy with it. Top A is like still good enough. World Points was the first priority for this event, and now I'm like almost safe for to say I'm guaranteed qualified for the World Points playoff. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole tournament. It's this is already a long video. I think in the next episode you're gonna hear me talking about a lot of things happened prior to YCS Indy, because I was scrambling very hard prior to this. You heard me mention I was playing Parallel Exceed. I had to give up. I finally realized, learned the hard way that it's probably not suiting the format anymore. So I switched, and that was a tough switch during those weeks that you did not see me post anything. Because I nearly had to learn everything from scratch again. Well, I believe I had to learn everything from scratch again. Everything like the cash cards, or is it even the cash card, like the or other variants, right? I was even at the beginning trying to come up with something myself, even like, oh, what if I play horrors with other random shit? So that was some tough weeks, and I'm glad I find the puzzle pieces throughout the internet, throughout like all the possible content creators, friends, teammates, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Discord. And I'm very grateful. And shout out again to the following players who really helped my deck. Indirectly, most of them actually. Jose Santiago, Rafael Reich, Lucas Sacco, DB Grinder, and then Anthony and Diego from the Chinese Court. So yeah, that's that being said, thank you for still watching or listening to me at this over an hour long mark for this episode. And then next one I'll be including what happened prior to Indy, probably gonna be uploaded in a few days. So let me know in the comment section down below if you have any comments, suggestions, whatever thing. I will be seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching my top 8 profile from YCS Indy. And I'll see you in the next one.